Hello YouTube, it's Ryan here with Hobbies and Man once again, and today we're going to be talking about Star Wars. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Andor. It's time to do the Andor review. I didn't get a chance to rewatch the last two episodes before this, but I don't really have any time later to talk about this. And if I wait any longer, it's going to become irrelevant. So I want to finish talking about the show today. So, well, actually, it's going to be Saturday, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So, Andor, I liked it a lot. Actually, I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of good moments with the show. I do have some complaints, but it's not anything super egregious or anything super hardcore, like a real problem I have with this show, like I did with Obi-Wan and Boba Fett. It is mostly just a bunch of generic nitpicks. Most of them people already have talked about up and down and kind of said everything there needs to be said about it. But of course, I do still want to add my voice to the discussion and mention my problems with the show. So overall, I really enjoyed the show. I loved everything that it was about. I really enjoyed everything to do with Andor. I liked to see his beginning as a young man with Marva and, getting into some trouble and having to escape. I liked Luthen getting in contact with Andor and helping him escape, but also using him. I found that to be really meaningful. I also really liked Luthen in general. I thought he was a really interesting character. He is a phenomenal, actor, or an actor that is phenomenal, is definitely lending their strength to Luthen Rail as a character, which is awesome. I really appreciated that. I like that a lot. I thought he was a very complex character. There's a lot of things about Luthen that we don't know. Some people say he's a Jedi. Some people say he was some sort of ex-senator, whatever the case may be. I don't really care. Although I do think that, him being a Jedi would be the easy route. And I don't necessarily think that that's a good idea. But he could be some sort of Jedi friend or a friend of the Jedi in some way that, was generally angry with the destruction of the order and stuff like that. So there could be ways for that to work, but I don't really think that Luthen being a Jedi is a good move. I really would dislike that, although there's some things about him that kind of do feel like they might be Jedi-esque. Although it might be more interesting for him to be a Sith of some sorts, because it would still make sense why he has all of this Jedi stuff in his shop, but also would make sense why he is horrible. But maybe he kind of got away from it, and maybe he was supposed to be Palpatine's apprentice. Palpatine snuffed him, but snubbed him. What's the word? Like, he said no to him, but he didn't manage to kill him, and now Luthen Rail has to live this shitty life, and that's why he does the way he that's why he is the way he is and why he does things the way he does. But either way, I don't really care. I think it'd be better if he's just a normal person. But I liked him a lot. I thought he was really, really good. Continuing on with Andor, though, I like the Aldani stuff. Although I think in the Aldani section of the story is mostly where the slowness of the story came about. It was just a lot of time just looking at the grass in these fields, right? And so Aldani did feel slow, although the payoff at the end of episode 6 was awesome. It was really, really good. Continuing on from there, Narkina 5 was awesome. I really enjoyed Kino Loy, and I liked Andy Serkis's portrayal of him. I found this part of the story to be really good. After we got through Niamos, which was mostly a transitionary kind of situation, I enjoyed Narkina 5. Again, though, it did kind of spin its wheels a little bit. And I understand why it was that way. It was to build, not necessarily tension, but to develop the monotony of this place and the horrors of, having to do this thing in and out every day of your life and how shitty it is, right? I understand the reasons why certain things took so long to get through, but it's not really what you expect from Star Wars usually. And also, even outside of Star Wars, I do feel like it was a little bit slow. The problem is that there really isn't a way to condense it without removing the structure or without kind of losing some of the power of the scenes. So it's kind of difficult for me to say. Like, I would have liked it to be shorter, because if it had been shorter, I don't think it would have been as effective at telling its story, right? Um, then the escape and the return to Ferrix and stuff like that was awesome, really poignant. However, I do feel like the ending at Ferrix was mildly anticlimactic for a season's finale. Not necessarily anticlimactic. I think that's the wrong word, but it didn't live up to the hype that I was expecting it to. I don't know if it was because it was mostly people on people and it wasn't like this big epic action scene, or if it was because the tension wasn't really there for me. I'm not sure exactly what it is or why it was, but I do feel that the ending was a little bit lackluster compared to the rest of the season. Just mildly, though, very small. I don't know. It is what it is. I really enjoyed the Mon Mothma part of the story. I thought that was really, really good. I like that she stayed very parallel to Andor and never actually came in contact with him, but she did come in contact with all of the other secondary storylines for, whatever reason. I'm curious to see if we're going to have a Mon Mothma Andor connection in the second season. I think that'd be good. Once Mon Mothma does actually kind of end up having to leave the Senate and moving on to being leader of the Republic, I do hope that she becomes acquainted with Andor and we have an interaction between them two from, because it would be a really interesting kind of real life situation, meeting someone way different from your station and your societal kind of situation. It would be really interesting to see that in a Star Wars context. I mean, I don't think we really ever see it because usually speaking, even the Jedi, they fall into this weird kind of in-between where they're easily just as poor as the poor people they help in, the Clone Wars, or they're easily just as rich as the people that are part of the Senate, right? They're able to manage both of those kind of ways, mostly because of their monk-like attitudes, and so, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see a situation where it is like, a purely normal person meeting a purely uber high society person from Coruscant. But, maybe it has happened before and I'm just forgetting about it. I don't know. It's not something I usually paid attention to growing up as I watched Star Wars, but it is something that I'm interested in seeing now, right? So, yeah, I'm curious about that and how that's going to happen. Of course, we need to see K2SO show up at some point, which will be pretty fun. And hopefully B2 Emo has something to do with K2SO so that we can have the cute little puppy robot be part of Andor's story up until the end of it, right? So that would be cool, but it doesn't really need to happen that way. It could just be like Andor is lonely, his B2 MO unit has died, or for some reason, whatever. He never was able to find it again, and so he needed a new droid partner because he was feeling lonely. And, well, he managed to get K2SO, in some situation, right? It could be something like that, or it could be, like B2 Emo's carriage has been destroyed, but his memory chip still lives. Let's use him to override this K2 unit, and, whatever situation happens there would be really cool, but it doesn't really matter too much. Overall, the show was good. I do have issues with the pace of the show sometimes, and I do feel like it was a little bit too disconnected from the traditional Star Wars feel. Usually Star Wars is a space fantasy, and I don't feel like there was enough fantasy elements in this part of Star Wars. I don't think it needs to be there. Like I have mentioned before, I think that Star Wars as a medium or as a world has to evolve a little bit in the kind of sense of the television show, because it doesn't really work that much anymore. Sci-fi and space fantasy and all of this stuff has grown so much, and it's necessary for Star Wars to diversify its content style in order to become relevant again, because, well, Disney really tanked it. They bought it and then they immediately destroyed Star Wars. So if they want to come back and become a relevant thing again, they have to expand Star Wars a lot. And they have been trying to do that, but they have mostly been failing because, well, they have been very cautious about how they do things. And that cautiousness, that carefulness, has actually led to some pretty shitty-ass products. Or they have been trying to, push certain things that don't really work. Like, there hasn't been any issues with anything here. It's, people complained about Obi-Wan and Boba Fett, and people immediately started attacking the complainers about the fact that they were like racist or homophobes or whatever the case may be. But no one has complained about those things in Andor, so it's obviously not that people are homophobic or racist or anything like that. It's that those stories involved characters that were representative of these groups, and also were pretty shitty about how they were written. So, you know, that's kind of the issue there. Moses Ingram's character in Obi-Wan Kenobi would have been a great character in a different show, but because she was in Obi-Wan, she's a disliked character because she takes away from Obi-Wan Kenobi in his own show. And I think that's perfectly valid criticism. And, you know, some people, of course, took it badly, but also some people attacked the actress directly instead of attacking the fact that the show was badly made, right? So I definitely understand both sides of the conflict. I don't really care about both sides of the conflict. It's not really my problem. I like Star Wars. I love Star Wars. It's a big fan thing of mine. It's a fandom that I love. But I also don't care that much about it. I don't live and breathe Star Wars every day, nor do I consume it in order to start Twitter wars. So yeah. I don't know. So yeah, Andor is really good. I like the representation in it. I like that there was Hispanic characters. There's was Cynthia. I think she's a Desi actress, so she must be from India or Pakistan or Bangladesh, I guess. I don't know. She's in that area of the world. There was lesbian characters. There was. Are there any black people in Andor? Oh yeah, there were definitely black people in Andor. They were very important female characters. Like, you know, the representation stuff worked, but also it was because these characters were good. And I really liked that. I think that was really well done. I really appreciated that. I thought it was wonderful. So, yeah. There really isn't too much else to say. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. And thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.